Hi everyone, welcome back to Ukulele Beginners with me, Matt Stead. In this video, we're going to have a look at how to strum. One of the most important skills to learn when playing your ukulele. Now, a lot of beginners and even a lot of teachers just concentrate on chords when you're learning to play ukulele, and they don't really explain the mechanics of what the right hand does in a lot of details. But just like with how to press these chords being incredibly important, exactly how you strum is massively important, right down to tiny little angles with your index finger. It will make the difference between your playing sounding really lovely and not so lovely. We're going to cover a few subjects today in regards to strumming. We're going to look at picks, whether you should use them and what different types of picks are out there. We're going to look at how to physically strum with this right arm in terms of strumming down and adding an up strum as well. We're going to work on rhythm, and I'm also going to give you some practical exercises to involve the two chords that we learnt in the last video and get you playing some songs. Now let's get the contentious subject out of the way. Should I be using a pick or plectrum when playing ukulele? My answer, if you're an adult, I prefer you first to learn without a pick. But there are some exceptions which we'll talk about at the end, and they can be really handy for children as well. There are lots of reasons why we might not use a plectrum or a pick. The first is the sound of your strum. For that traditional Hawaiian ukulele strum, part of the sound that makes that strum the way it is the fact that our nail hits the strings on the way down and the pad of our finger on the way up. So we have a different sound for downs and up strums, whereas with a plectrum, it's the same both ways. Another reason for me is that when we're strumming without a pick, there are all sorts of embellishments that we could add. So if I'm doing a normal strum, I could add, say, a rolled strum by flicking my fingers against the ukulele. I could add some little triplets. There's all sorts of things that I can do without a plectrum that I can't do with a plectrum. Now, if you do struggle and you find it much easier with a pick or a plectrum, it's absolutely fine. There's no ukulele police here. And these can be useful for children. Certain children can find their fingers can get sore when they're strumming a ukulele at first. For children, I would really recommend either a felt or a leather pick because they're a bit more forgiving and they have a softer tone, as opposed to a guitar pick, which tend to be made out of nylon or plastic and have quite a harsh bright tone. Now let's take a look at the mechanics of our right hand and strumming. Now there are going to be some really specific little details in this bit that I'd like you to pay attention to, because these are going to help your ukulele playing for the rest of your life. The first thing, and one of the most overlooked things by myriads of teachers, is the angle that our finger hits the strings on this ukulele. Just as when we discussed the ukulele and holding it, the angle was incredibly important. The same thing occurs here. Now, with our index finger, we're going to strum down using the nail side of our index finger, like so. Now, the important thing is the angle at which the nail of your index finger hits the strings. Now, I have a horrible long nail which I use for finger picking. We'll talk about nails in a later video. You don't need long nails at all if you're just starting out. Now, as I strum, pay really close attention to the angle of this finger as it passes through the strings this way, okay? Now, here's what we don't want. We do not want this finger to come down flat against the strings using the side of the finger like this. Can you see that? Because there's no give in the finger. When I hold it against the strings or the neck, it can't bend this way or this way. So it's very rigid and I get this really uncomfortable mechanical feeling. And this is a common mistake for beginners. They kind of bounce over the strings and it's really, really uncomfortable for them and they can get a sore finger here. Likewise, what we absolutely don't want is to go completely the other way and have our finger flat against the strings this way. Now this has the opposite problem. When you strum, your finger flaps about one way or the other. and it doesn't have any strength over the strings. Now this is really hard to show in detail, but what we don't want is your finger here. We don't want it at this angle. We want it right in the middle at a 45-degree angle as it passes over those strings. What that means is it has a little bit of give as it comes down, but also a little bit of strength. It's not floppy like this way. It's not hard and rigid like this way. It's right in the middle. Some people find that having their thumb behind their index finger helps them greatly as well. What I want you to do is imagine you're 5 years old and you're playing toy guns. Pew, pew. Hold your index finger out like this and then release all the tension in the finger so it curves back naturally. If you just relax it, it should naturally go into about this position with a curve. Take the thumb and very lightly hold it against the back of the finger, roughly in the crease of the last knuckle. Now we're going to hold down that C7 chord that we learned in the last video. Couple of quick reminders: circle on the back, thumb on the back of the ukulele, tip of that finger on the string, and try to be towards the right hand part of the fret. Take that position we were just doing with your thumb lightly behind the finger and just gently down strum, roughly where the body of the ukulele meets the neck. That's our sweet spot. Notice I'm just strumming downwards. If I strum too high up this end, it starts to sound a bit too woolly and doesn't have the greatest definition. Hear that sweet spot just here. If I go too far this way, bit tinny and banjo-esque, can have uses later on. We're going to strum here just in a sweet spot, noticing that 45-degree angle coming down the nail side of that index finger. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and relax. Well done. Now we need to work out what to do with the rest of this arm, because a lot of the strumming is in the arm movement up and down here. You'll notice as I strum, there's very little movement at the wrist. Again, another pitfall that beginners get into is they do most of their strumming with their wrist this way, or they can go complete opposite and do all arm very strong, and that has a very kind of powerful but unforgiving sound. So, as mentioned in my holding the ukulele video, the upper part of my arm just rests very lightly on the top part of my ukulele. That's going to allow me to strum at the sweet spot of the ukulele here. Now notice as I strum up and down, most of the movement is coming from the arm, right? Can you see that? But it's not completely rigid like this. Notice there's a slight rotation in the wrist as well. So here's a weird analogy for perfecting our strumming action. Just stay with me here. Imagine you've used the loo and you've washed your hands, but the hand dryer is broken and you need to shake off that excess water from your hands. We've all done it. Now that shaking action is mostly the arm, but there's a slight flick of the wrist at the end, right? Now, this is what we need to put into our ukulele playing. I'm holding my C7 here. Notice I'm just doing downstrums. Most of the action is coming from my arm moving up and down gently over the ukulele this end. But there's a slight bit of rotation at the end. Not very much. It should come naturally as you strum. Lovely. Let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4, C7, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, C7, 2, 3, 4. So let's combine that with what we learned in the last video, and we're going to change between an F chord and a C7 chord to sing Singing in the Rain. Couple of tips to remember: circle on that hand, thumb on the back, tips of the fingers on the strings. Keep them towards the right hand part of the fret, not over here, over here. This hand, we don't want to be here or here. We want a 45-degree angle. Thumb very lightly on the back of the index finger. We're just strumming down. We're using mostly the arm with a slight rotation of the wrist at the end. The video will tell you when to change chords. It will give you a 1, 2, 3, 4, but we're either going to be on an F chord or a C7 chord. Don't worry about singing along unless you're really comfortable. Just practice keeping a very steady rhythm. Okay, after 4, starting on an F. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again. I'm laughing at clouds so dark up above, but the sun's in my heart and I'm ready for love. Now let's do another part of the verse, but before I do, just remember, allow yourself to go wrong with this hand. If you're not quick enough to change between the chords perfectly, just allow those strings to ring open as you change, because the important thing is we want this right arm never stopping. What we don't want is, I'm singing rain, what a glorious feeling, I'm happy again. That's the last thing we want, so we want to keep strumming at all times. Let's have another round and we'll try the next bit. Back on an F chord and come in on the word stormy. So let the stormy clouds chase everyone from the place. Come on with the rain, I've a smile on my face. Keep going on that C7. I walk down the lane with a happy refrain, and I'm singing, just singing in the rain. Do 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 be do be do be do be do. Well done. Now, how about adding an upstrumming? This is the bit where lots of people trip up, but as long as you follow some simple rules, you'll be absolutely fine. Now, first of all, your right hand rhythm. You don't have to do anything different to hit an upstrum in terms of your right hand moving up and down. We're already going down. All we have to do is touch our finger on the strings on the way up. It's all about the angles. Yet again, angles everywhere of ukulele playing, right? We've got them here, we've got them here, we've got them here, we've got them here. It's really important. So what we need to do with the upstrum is keep that 45-degree angle. We're not here, we're not here, we're here. And as you come back up on the strings, just let the pad side of your index finger touch on the bottom couple of strings. Now, this is where a big misconception about strumming comes in. A lot of people presume that as we strum all 4 strings when we strum down, we have to make sure we strum all 4 strings when we strum up. But actually, most ukulele players, after they've strummed down, their index finger will just catch onto the bottom couple of strings on the way up. Can you see that? So in effect, what's happening is I'm coming down on all 4 strings. On the way up, I'm just touching the bottom couple of strings using the pad of this index finger. Notice the finger, because it's at this 45-degree angle, not here and not here, it doesn't have to move to make that touch on the way up. It happens naturally. What you don't want is this kind of trying to hit all 4 strings like this, or really hard bouncing over the strings. Just very lightly touch. So strum, touch, strum, touch. Now here's the good news. In terms of the mechanics of the arm movement, you're already doing everything you need to do to upstrum. When we strum down, Imagine we're strumming down on the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I keep that going, my arm doesn't have to alter its course at all to include an upstrum. All I have to do is allow that index finger to touch the strings on the way up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So notice that I'm touching the strings on an upstrum on the ands between the numbers. Let's have a go. Let's try a C7 chord because it's a bit easier than the F. Let's start with just strumming on the numbers on the downstrums. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now keep that strum action moving, but just very lightly allow that index finger to brush on the string on the way up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Notice that your right hand doesn't have to do anything different other than just allowing that index finger to touch on the way up. And relax. Now, before we test that out on Singing in the Rain and Dance the Night Away, a word about rhythm with the right hand. The vast majority of songs, not all, but the vast majority of songs we play on the ukulele use something called swing. That's where instead of having a very straight driving rhythm like this, which can sound quite mechanical, there's slightly more emphasis on the downstrums than the upstrums. Have a listen. Swing. Non-swing. Swing. Non-swing. Now, most people actually add a swing pattern to their ukulele playing without ever realising. I think the easiest way to make sure you're playing in swing is just to imagine you're counting the ands in between the numbers as little breaths. I'll show you what I mean. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Notice as I stamp my feet on the numbers, I'm putting a little bit more power and emphasis on the downstrum than the upstrum. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It's almost as if this hand is a bit heavy. So I allow it to rest down here ever so slightly before the upstrum. So let's have some fun with this. Let's try Singing in the Rain and Dance the Night Away using this swing pattern up and down that we've learned. If you find this tricky, don't be discouraged at all. It can take quite a lot of time to hone this right arm, and we're going to do many more exercises on this to help you. This is just a start, so don't worry. If you do find yourself getting out of rhythm when you're playing along with these pieces, what I would suggest is just go back to your downstrums. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And from there, if you're feeling confident, just allow those touches to come back in on the upstrums, but always count the downstrums. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So let's do this thing. Remember, F chord here, arch on the hand, fingers towards the right hand side of the fret, just the tips touching, try not to flatten. And when changing to C7, this finger off and down. And when changing back to F, this finger up and across. I'm going to give you 2 counts of 4 to get you going on this one. And we're going to start with the F chord for Singing in the Rain. Just follow the directions on the screen for when to change chords. You'll soon get it. Now, if you get stuck, just come back to this moment in the film that's written down here and you can start again. Just rewind as many times as you like and see if you can play along with the up and down strum. If you get lost, just go back to the down strum, remember. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again. I'm laughing at clouds so dark up above, but the sun's in my heart and I'm ready for love. So let the stormy clouds chase everyone from the place. Come on with the rain, I've a smile on my face. I walk down the lane with a happy refrain, and I'm singing, just singing in the rain. 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Before we do the next one, the changes are quite quick, aren't they, on Dance the Night Away? You probably noticed in the last video. So let's just practice doing 4 down strums on an F, 4 on a C7, 4 on an F, 4 on a C7. Now remember, allow yourself to go wrong with this left hand. If it's not quite there on the chord straight away, let it be wrong. But just keep that right hand going no matter what. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now just allow that finger to touch on the way up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. If you get stuck, just back to your down strums on the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Just wanna dance the night away with senoritas who can sway. Right now, tomorrow's looking bright. 2 and 3 and 4. Just like the sunny morning light. And 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. If you should see her, please let her know that I'm well. At 2 and 3 and 4. As you can tell, 2, 3, 4. And if she should tell you she wants me back, tell her no. I gotta go. One more chorus. Just wanna dance the night away with senoritas who can sway. Right now, tomorrow's looking bright. Just like the sunny morning light. 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Well done, guys. That was quite a quick tempo. So if you managed to keep up with that, that is really, really excellent work. Remember, if you got a little bit lost at any point, just go back to the start of the song and just do those down strums. Down strums is plenty good enough for now to get you started anyway. As a beginner, it can be quite tricky to play in time, so I would suggest playing along to this video again and again and again, building up your confidence on that C7 chord and F chord. Later on we'll introduce other chords, but just for now I want you to really build up that confidence on the strumming, because that's crucially important. And remember, if you struggle with the up and down, just down for now will get you really far, and that's absolutely fine.